everybody. Today we're going to go on location to Austin Fitness. Dustin has been my trainer from many films or photo shoots that I've done. With the holidays here, I want to eat. I want to have some fun like you guys do, but I also want to be preventative. So he's going to teach us some ideas that we can use for the next couple of months and still be able to enjoy the holidays, eat the food, have a good time without losing our looks. So let's go hear what he has to say. Come on, people.
Over here, look where it says Fitness Club.
Oh, that one?
Right,
Like Austin Fitness Club?
right.
Okay.
Dino, what's up, boss? Long time no see. Give me a hug. How are you? Well, it's about time you got back in here.
I know.
Let me show you the place. Come on.
Cool. I can't wait. Okay, Dustin.
Dino.
First of all, thank you for coming in. And really nice to come in.
Yeah, absolutely.
I want to start out by, we're approaching the holiday season.
Yep.
What I'm concerned about is there's so much size shaming going on.
Mm-hmm.
You know, people are either too big, but they also understand there can be people like me that can lose weight so quickly that we can get thin.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay, but now as we're going into the holidays,
Mm-hmm.
we all get a little bit bigger.
Sure.
Is there something that you recommend?
Like a prep prior to the new year, like a pre-holiday prep.
Exactly, because you know how you always hear everybody talking after the holidays.
Yeah.
Oh, I've got that extra weight
Yep.
going on.
It's a
or
new
something
year,
like that.
gotta
It's
get ready.
And so I was wondering, as I was thinking about this video, what about if there was a way that we could do something preventative without like busting our butt? What would you recommend
Mm-hmm.
for someone like me or someone that even has a weight problem already
Yeah.
or an underweight? What?
Yes.
What?
Well, so it really depends on the individual and their history of exercise and diet, first and foremost, because there's definitely variables. So somebody like yourself, you've trained on and off for the years. I've trained you before. So even though the principles would maintain being the same, what I'm going to explain, it does make a big difference if you're a brand new person getting into like health and fitness the first time. Like if it's November and you're saying January 1st, I'm going to do it 100% and get back in shape, or try to get back in shape for the first time. That's still a little bit different even than somebody who maybe has gone back and forth, 5 or 6
Someone like
different
me
times.
who you've trained for
So- So
film
for
or
now,
photo
now,
shoot.
what you said with you being, size shaming, obviously, Dino, you're like 7 foot tall, okay, and you probably weigh what, about 400, 500 pounds? No, I'm just kidding. So you're tall and thin. So somebody like you, I would definitely recommend, first and foremost, wrapping your head around becoming conscious of your game plan. Okay, so knowing what you're going to want to start to implement in come January with your nutrition, start implementing in the types of foods that are going to be beneficial to your goals. Okay, so if you want to build muscle, start to implement in, maybe higher caloric foods that are good and healthy from a nutritional source. Not things that are going to be like inflammatory, but then also things that are having, higher good quality carbohydrates and proteins along with the fats as well.
But here's where I get confused.
Yep.
It's the holidays,
Mhm.
and well, I mean, I don't know about you,
Sure.
but
Brownies.
I
and-
know a lot of you can relate to this. It's
Yeah.
like people are constantly coming in the studio going, "No,
Yes.
here's brownies,
Yes.
here's cookies."
So a really good thing that I would highly recommend to that would be, from a psychological standpoint, would be portion control. Try to go ahead, and I always tell all my clients, you don't want to beat yourself down mentally for enjoying life, because really,
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. We're not going to. I don't
Right.
want the holidays to be like,
Yeah.
I got to work out, I got to think about my body and everything. But
Yes.
on the other hand, I don't want January to come in,
So,
and
I mean,
have sad stomach.
there's a couple different people. There's people who unfortunately are never successful. There's people who are like ultra successful, and a lot of times people who are ultra successful really aren't happy in general.
They're living in the gym.
Yeah, they're living in the gym. They're not enjoying, certain things, and they might not go out and have, an alcoholic beverage with friends, the co-workers. They might not enjoy, a homemade cake at somebody's birthday party or something like that. So really finding that fine line and the happy medium between those two things is where I always try to tell my clients and friends to find themselves. So portion control is huge. And then also understanding, caloric intake. So if you do too many calories, bottom line, you are going to end up putting on weight. At the same time, if you're watching your calories and maybe like using like a balanced type of mindset where you eat 80% of your food is good, you allow yourself 20% of a cheat or whatever like you want to call it during the holiday seasons, and then maybe drop that down to 90% good and 10% cheat throughout the day come January 1st. Also, I don't know if anybody is aware, yourself included, about inflammatory foods, but there's a lot of genetically modified organisms out there. There's a lot of bad food that's really, really unhealthy for us. It's things we drink, gums we chew, foods that we ingest, and things like that.
I don't mean to step
go
over
ahead.
on you, but during the holidays, I feel like at least I can speak for myself.
Yeah.
And if I'm speaking for myself, I know I'm speaking
Mhm.
for a few other people. We're not thinking it that way.
Correct. So
We're looking at the brownies
Yep,
that somebody just
yep.
brought in, or we're
So-
looking at
so
this
what I was-
huge table of food.
exactly. So what I was going to say is, in order to combat inflammation, maybe introduce certain things like turmeric is a natural spice that is the #1 anti-inflammatory natural food that people can ingest through pill form. It's a root, so you can actually blend it up in like a smoothie. That helps combat inflammation and soreness and being tired and basically run down. Like, have you ever eaten something that's like really, really high in sugar and you feel sore and stiff, maybe from doing something like that? A lot of,
Every day.
yeah, okay. So that's inflammation. And inflammation attacks our bodies in a couple of different ways. One of them is in our joints and our muscles. The other is in our intestines. And so let's say that it's November and somebody says, I'm going to go November and December and eat whatever I want and start January 1st completely fresh. I wouldn't recommend doing that. I would say try to set yourself up for success and keep your inflammation down during November and December, and really introduce the anti-inflammatory foods, and even things like apple cider vinegar. Trying to drink apple cider vinegar before you go to bed helps kind of reset your gut. It's a really, really good organic way of our bodies kind of regulating itself. So you do that with a little bit of cold water. So that and turmeric will kind of help. And then that way, the inflammation in your intestines isn't going to be so powerful come January that when you do start eating better foods, the positive nutrition you're actually ingesting at that time can actually be absorbed through our intestines and then make us feel better. So it's a lot of science, really, when it comes down to it.
Yeah, I'm just sitting here thinking, like, I can't imagine when we shoot in January,
Right.
the getting me back to normal.
Yes.
Because, I'm just to be honest.
Mhm.
You would train me or something for a photo
Yep.
shoot or a film, and
Mhm.
and I would look just brilliant.
Yes.
And then
Swell up.
As soon as it's over, I'm
Yep.
like,
Sure. Your pecs and your quads go back to your belly,
I
right?
shrink right
Yep.
up.
Yep.
And then, because in size shaming, then people don't understand
Sure.
that someone like me doesn't like to hear,
Mhm.
oh, you're so thin. That hurts just as bad as somebody saying, you're too, heavy or you're too fat.
Right. Especially for women. I don't want to step on anybody's toes or anything like that, but women can be very self-conscious if they have low body fat, regarding their, their overall appearance and whatnot. And it's hard, very, very hard for them.
It's more like you said, I'm so tall.
Yeah.
It's like I have to eat all the time.
Yes.
I mean,
You were eating like twice as much when we were training.
yeah, but
easily.
I always like to raid my shots.
Yes, yes.
And then as soon as it was over, I think I was just so worn out from doing my job,
Yes.
being on film,
Mm-hmm.
that I just stayed with it. But
Yeah.
I don't, this is my opinion.
Mhm.
I don't know if I wasn't in the industry, if I could do that every day,
Sure.
just throughout the year.
Yeah.
That was
Well,
just,
and that definitely is something for every individual to take into consideration
Right.
too, is their lifestyle.
But I guess we have to be honest with ourselves first.
Mhm,
And just
100%.
go, look,
Yep. This
am
is who I
thin.
am.
Yeah.
That boils down to such a strong psychological principle that I try to tell people every day. Listen, you're not in competition with anybody but yourself, and the competition you're in with yourself is a positive one. Just wanting to be yourself to help yourself become a little bit better and not let yourself go. You know.
Well, I know you always preach to me mind,
Yeah.
body, spirit.
Yeah.
Mind, body, spirit. They have to.
Yes.
Everything has to sync together. And as I'll be honest about it. Let's face it. You would constantly have to yell at me all
Of
the
course.
time.
Yeah, of course.
I'm not the easiest
Often.
student.
No. Oh, I don't know how many times I literally, 8 o'clock in the morning, knock on the door, Dean, time to train. Can we just do it tomorrow? I'm like, no. I just kept knocking on the door, kept ringing the doorbell, or kept calling you saying, all right, let's go.
But with that said, I think
Yep.
this is something for you guys I think would really inspire you. Do a personal trainer. I could have had a membership at a gym, and I could be the type of person that my driver brings me up to, and I can come up with 100 reasons
Sure.
why not to go in that door.
100%.
But when you're sitting there pounding on my door,
Yes.
going, no, you
Yes.
have to get up. It's
And
like,
I
there's a
I tell people that you're 100% right. You know, it was like from that funny movie where they would call like the big gyms like Globo gyms.
Right.
You know, and there's nothing wrong with those if you're that really, really seriously focused individual who is like, doesn't smell brownies because they're worried they're going to gain calories, or they're somebody who's just in a very repetitious cycle. But for people who are trying to make a huge momentous shift in their life, and really, especially for people who have never done it before, who need to maybe, gain 25 pounds or lose 30 to 45 pounds for their overall health, not just for their image, but for their health. Having that accountability is dramatically important because, it's so easy for you to wake up and, you might be tired, you might be sore, you might say, I'll start tomorrow 1,000 times. People, I'll do it tomorrow. And personal training or even going into like a group style setting, like which I do both here at Austin Fitness, groups and personal training. When you invest just, even whether it's your time, your energy, your financial investment into something like that, you commit and you're going to appreciate your commitment more.
Well,
so much.
because one thing I noticed about your gym that I really, really like, it's a cool space.
Thank you.
When I walked in, you have a list of like, I wouldn't call them rules,
Yeah,
but
the gym
a
rules.
standard.
Yeah.
And it's like, don't drop your bells and dumbbells and things like that, because things like that are intimidating to people
Sure.
like me and
Sure.
stuff. It's like, oh, and
Right.
I feel in your gym, I always feel very calm. I don't feel like I'm
Yeah.
in competition with the guy
No.
sitting there just in front of the
Right.
or the woman in front of the
Sure,
mirror,
of course.
just like pumping it out. It's
100%.
like,
A sense of community is very important.
that's
100%.
what I guess I was trying to get to. Is like, there's more of a community
Yeah.
in your gym.
Yeah, and then, even having my Austin Fitness members page, I've got, 100 plus people on a members page that, we communicate, which you know of, where somebody will say something along the lines of, maybe it's something that's funny, to those members that just kind of motivates them, or it's something that's very serious. One of my clients, for example, posted that she was in a very serious car wreck a few years back, and she was never supposed to walk again. And she got herself to the point where she was able to not only walk on her own 2 feet, and then she got into exercise, she got into training, she was working out at another facility, and then she came to try Austin Fitness, and I've seen her really blow up and do so much better, and we actually got her to start doing a 20-inch box jump. So this is a person who's never supposed to walk ever again, and she's jumping on a 20-inch box.
Is that scary for you as a trainer to take on somebody like?
Of course. And we're talking, I've had people with multiple sclerosis, cancer, psychological issues, serious depression.
I think that's why mind,
physical
body, and
ailments.
spirit is
It's
so
huge.
important.
And you could ask any of my clients or anybody who works out around the world. If you have the right mindset, you can really accomplish wonderful things. The right mindset and a positive, love for yourself and a drive that goes beyond anything. If it goes beyond work, if it goes beyond what anybody thinks about you, if it goes beyond what you think about anybody else, and if you're just in the moment at that exact particular second or 2 or 5 minutes, whatever it is, and you're in the zone, that's you and yourself and your soul and your goals, and that's how people really do wonderful things. And that's how they're successful.
Staying in the moment.
100%.
Don't get ahead of yourself, don't get behind yourself.
Mhm.
That's really good, Dustin. Thank you for that, because we both know my issue. I'll go after it. Like if I've got a photo cover or something like I do, I'll beat it up, and then I'm not in the moment.
Mhm.
I'm thinking about that photo shoot, or I'm thinking
Yes.
about that camera.
Yes.
And wow, that just really resonated with me.
And you know, it all boils down to mindset and that drive. And I tell people all the time, whether they know that it's going to be upcoming in a couple of months, a week, an hour, it's right there in that moment. You think about what it is that drives you personally.
How do you want to look in 3 months?
Right.
Because staying at home just on the couch watching TV,
Sure.
3 months will pass and you're still going
quick.
to look the same.
Very quick,
Well, you
yes.
could have easily
Mm-hmm.
been changed.
Started to, and the other thing that I really wanted to say earlier, and I never got to, and I don't want to backtrack a little bit, but
No, for free.
you know, think about it. So if we're still looking at November or December or even next year, or whatever time it is, if you have a wedding in June and it's March and you know you got 3 months, but you're not going to start until April, whatever time frame you have, you can definitely do things that will set you up for success. So even if you aren't being perfect with your nutrition, if you start doing, you know, body weight type movements like push-ups, you know, good deep, nice deep squats, you know, where you're keeping your chest up, your core is engaged, things along those lines.
Like, how many of those would you recommend somebody do? Like, just
Well, it really depends on the human and what they're capable of, but you're gonna be sore when you start training or when you start working out regardless. So even if you just kind of get your feet wet and maybe do like 5, 10, 15, if you're a sedentary person, you do 15 of them the first morning, the next day maybe, or like 2 days later, you do maybe 20, you see how you feel. Those muscles will get activated, they'll get stretched, they'll get accustomed to, you know, the movement, and then when you do start to implement in a higher intensity training, it's not coming right from a sedentary position where it's gonna be shocked.
that's exactly what I
So-
wanted to
Yep.
get to in this video. Is that's so, I don't know the professional words, I would just call it preventative.
Oh,
Get us
say
ready,
it helps
get
for
us ready
injury.
for
It's from a
January.
cardiovascular standpoint. Now, people all the time, people will come into a group setting or a personal training session, and heaven forbid they have a trainer who pushes them too hard too soon. Any of my clients know that they will say that Dustin works me harder than anybody ever in the world, but never until they're ready. So if somebody's not ready, I will always very easily ramp them up to the point where they can increase their intensity levels. But for anybody, if they came in day one without doing anything preventative, one, there's a very good opportunity that they're going to get hurt because they're going to push too hard on their muscles and their muscles aren't going to be accustomed to it. Or two, they're going to challenge and push their cardiovascular system too high, too fast, feel nauseous, lightheaded, sick, even worst case scenario, they can very seriously go into cardiac arrest. You know, so easing yourself in, if you've never trained before, and even if you have trained and you're getting back into it, getting your body accustomed to it slightly before you really do it the right, you know, like the 100% is imperative.
And
for
that's
sure.
where I think we all need to start and listen to those words very carefully, people, because the holidays are upon us and we're all going to just eat
Oh, yeah,
this.
yeah.
And so if you need to rewind this, guys, 1,000 times to remember those words, do, because I know I'm going to.
Mhm.
Because now that I'm filming on a regular basis,
Yeah,
again, I don't have
sure.
that opportunity, but I
Sure.
still want to enjoy the holidays.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great.
Absolutely.
Great. So I
100%.
hope we gave you some good information today about how to get ready for the holidays, and we will see you again, Dustin,
100%.
in January,
Yeah.
and see where it goes.
Thanks, Dino.
bro.
Good stuff.
Good stuff.